Hello lads and ladies, and welcome back for another video on the channel. Today we are back with some Sky Bet League One content. It's international break. There was still 5 games on yesterday as we record this on the 16th of November. We're going to rank every Sky Bet League One manager. Now, we can do this, and probably a manager will be gone by the time we record this to the day that we put it out. And so we're going to rank managers as we see fit, not just based on this season, but what they've done in their career. But also we've got to kind of go how they're doing at their club currently. I am joined by Jake Tong, my good pal, my League One co-host, and someone that makes me look a teeny bit better than I actually am. How are you, pal?
Well, I'm very good, mate, purely because Michael now is the penultimate manager we have to talk about, and we've done it from the bottom table going up. So that should describe how well my weekend's been. So, yeah, I'm good, mate. Looking forward to it. There's a lot of new managers. There's a lot of ones. We did this last year, didn't we? So there's a lot of ones that are still kicking about as well. So I wonder how much our opinions have changed over the last 12 months. It'd be interesting to see, I think.
Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you could like the video. We've been setting like goals lately, and they've not been quite hitting them, but the last couple of vlogs have hit their like goals. The last couple of League One videos haven't hit the like goals. So there's 24 teams in this division, and I'm going to set 5 likes for every single team. So that's 120 likes is this week's like goal. So if you could hit a like, subscribe if you're new. This is your home of League One content. The categories are as followed: elite manager at League One level, great, a decent manager, done well with the club, had a decent career. Decent, maybe goes under the radar, does a good job at their club. Uninspiring. Now, this could be for you're just not inspired by them. You just think dull, lackluster, not great. Harsh, this one, Jake, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, we try not to be harsh, because I think to be managing in League One, you've got to be you've got to have some sort of calibre about you. So it's a little bit harsh to call them honking or meh. But there definitely are 1 or 2 managers in the league that if they were announced at your club tomorrow, you'd think.
We'll start off with bottom of the league. Tom Cleverley, the former Watford manager, and coming to Plymouth, struggled, to say the least, the bottom of the league, under huge pressure at a big football club that have been relegated last season after a couple of years in the Championship. Didn't maybe quite get the recruitment that he wanted. But for me, he's never really done anything yet. We've never seen a real side of Tom Cleverley, but he's been at Watford that you get sacked for pretty much nothing. In Plymouth, you're 16 games in and you're trying to take over a football club that are in a losing mentality. I just don't think he's the calibre of man to get that backbone and really dig Plymouth out of this hole.
I'm a big Tom Cleverley fan, actually, Ben. His team at Watford plays some really good football, and I think he's not maybe been, like you say, backed in the element in which he would have wanted it at Plymouth. And like you say, when you go to Plymouth, you've got to throw yourself into it. And in fairness, I don't think any Plymouth fan would say that he hasn't, completely immersed himself in Plymouth Argyle since he's gone there. Yeah, they're struggling for results, the bottom of the league at the moment. But this is the squad that he put together is not a squad that should finish bottom of the league. I think Tom Cleverley is a decent manager. I don't think he's uninspiring, because there's a very high ceiling with him, in my opinion.
There is. I just think that he's that type of manager that would maybe suit a smaller club right now. He's been thrown in at Watford where he was a player, and Plymouth are a massive football club. I think that if he was at a smaller club, no disrespect, to smaller club than Plymouth Argyle, but I think at Plymouth, you've got to have a calibre about you. You've got to have a bit of something about you. And I think he lacks that in between the 3rd and the 4th category, if I'm honest with you. That probably goes in meh. And I feel that if we did this 3 months ago, he's indecent. But I feel if you do it now, recent memory puts it uninspiring. I listen to Tom Cleverley and I don't feel uninspired. I feel that things will click. I'm very tempted to go up to decent, but the bottom of the league, Jake.
Yeah, I think we have to at 16 games in as we are now. I think you have to. They are bottom of the league. If we put them any higher, you probably have Plymouth fans saying, well, we're bottom of the league, we're absolutely crap at the minute. Why are you trying to big up this manager who's got us to bottom of the league? Based on this year, I think that's probably a fair outcome for Cleverley.
Next up is Luke Williams, who's played some fantastic football at Notts County. did a really, really good job with the Magpies. Then went to Swansea and struggled, but not the only manager that's done well low in the Football League pyramid, then gone to Swansea and struggled. Michael Duff is another manager that we'll talk about in a few moments' time. And he plays a good brand of football, and he's only been at Peterborough for a couple of games, and so far 6 goals scored, none against, a 5-0 win and a 1-0 win in the FA Cup. Can we call him a great manager yet? Because I feel like if he had a couple more seasons at the rate he was, if he was at Peterborough for, maybe we did this video in 18 months, he could go to the next category. I think time is the only thing that is making me put Williams in the 3rd category. I think that I want to see a bit more.
I think we'd maybe be looking to put Luke Williams in the great category. I think he's got his path a little bit wrong. If he had gone Notts to Peterborough to Swansea, and then maybe dropped back down to League One, maybe we're talking about him as a very good League One manager. Because he's jumped from A to F back down to C, it's quite difficult to judge him. But it has been a good start. And knowing, we saw that Notts County team, I saw it in the flesh. They were a good side.
No, he's one of those stereotypical managers that you just think done a good job at Notts County, big football club at National League level. Now, for me, I think me and Jake may agree. We may disagree, actually. I think Darren Moore, he started off at West Brom. I remember, I think they beat United 1-0 away from home, and he won Manager of the Month and came down, and he got sacked undeservedly. I think they were like 4th or 5th at the time. And then had spells at Doncaster, Sheffield Wednesday. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, the first season, they got into the playoffs and lost. It's not great, but it's not bad. The second year they got promoted, look, that game against Peterborough was unbelievable. But they were 4-0 down, and they were pretty honking towards that end of the season. They finished 96 points. And now he's at Port Vale. He got them promoted last year, promoted with Sheffield Wednesday. So he's got 2 promotions on his CV. You're not a bad manager. However, I feel if you give Darren Moore a good side, he'll do what's the least of what's expected. I feel now you're in League One, Darren Moore's probably got a bottom 8 squad. I think it's better than a bottom 4 squad. I feel he maybe just tinkers too much. He overthinks it. He changes too much. He makes 3 or 4 changes a game. He plays out of position. I'm not a fan of his brand of football. I don't know how he wants to actually play and set up. He's very instinctive. I feel he's a good guy. I just don't think he's this great manager that everyone thinks he is. I think he's always done what's expected of him, which deserves credit. But in League One with Port Vale, I think he's won 5 out of 34, Jake. He's lost, I think, 19 of those, and they've not come from a goal down to win a game. I think they've done it once in being there for nearly 2 years. That shows if plan A goes right, he's okay, but there's no plan B there.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to put Darren Moore in great. Darren Moore, I think any manager that has been promoted out of this league should at least, at the very minimum, if you're going to put Luke Williams in decent, I think you've got to put Darren Moore in great because he's got promoted with that Sheffield Wednesday team. The way they did it as well, coming from 4 goals down to win the playoff semi-final was outstanding.
Should that Sheffield Wednesday team have gone up?
How many points did they get that season?
Sheffield Wednesday team have gone up? Should that Sheffield Wednesday team gone up?
Yeah, they got 90
points.
They got 96
but that Sheffield
points.
Wednesday team, yes, I know.
Yeah, they got 96 points.
Okay, Darren Moore at Port Vale. What did he got relegated with them, and he got worse as the season got on. This year they've been poor.
Yeah,
Darren Moore will meet in the middle and we'll go decent. Darren Moore is not a great League One manager. For me, Darren Moore is not a great League One manager, Jake. But yeah, I'm not having it.
I think your problem is, Ben, Port Vale are a massive budget in League Two. When they come up to League One, they are where they're going to finish this year. They are 20th probably in the budget table. They are probably bottom 6 of the budget table, right? So I don't know what you can expect with the investment levels. So for me, that's personally
a great manager because they overachieve and they do something on a budget. Michael Skubala at Lincoln does something better than expected.
Yeah, well, Michael, trust me.
A great manager, a good manager, does Gary Bowyer at Bolton. For example, he's massively. I will give you Darren Moore to get 2 promotions. He doesn't inspire me as a manager, right?
Think about that Doncaster team as well, though, Ben.
You've got to put him in decent. I don't think that for me. I don't feel he builds anything. He gets promoted and then he doesn't build. He goes back down again.
When I think about Darren Moore, I think about not only obviously Vale and Wednesday, but that Doncaster team that he managed as well. And they were seriously overachieving that year. If you're going to put him in, I think if you put him in decent, he's probably towards the top end of decent. But
You put him in great. You put him in great. But
I'm a big fan of Darren Moore.
You put him in great, but that's on your head. No, you put him on great.
Your video, it says, does it say Ben Knapman EFL down here? I'm not taking the plat for that. Here we go. Blackpool's next. Here we go. You know what's going on. Ian Evatt, elite.
Elite. There we are. If you ask Bolton fans over 4 years, did an unbelievable job. Bear in mind, Barrow just about stayed up when he went into that football club. I think they finished mid-table and won the league the next year in the National League, which is, in my opinion, outside of the Championship, is very competitive, but the National League to get out of is the hardest league in England. And then left and went to Bolton. In his first year, they were capitulating and they were 18th, 19th for most part of that season. In the last 15 games, he flew. They absolutely flew. Got promoted away at Crawley. Season 2, finished 9th in League One and got better as the season went on. His recruitment at Bolton was really good. Again, felt a good feel-good factor. Finished on 73 points. Year 3, playoff semi-finals away, against Barnsley. We're poor in the playoffs. Year 4 was the year where you're judging everything. If he gets promoted with Bolton Wanderers in that year and they stay up in the Championship over that 2 years, things stay differently. You're talking of Ian Evatt being an elite manager. Ian Evatt has overthought it. The Wigan games, the Blackpool games, when he was at Bolton, he did win the Plymouth, against Plymouth in the cup. Fair play, but they stunk the bed out in that playoff final. In that last 15 games, they were poor Bolton. They were nowhere near the standard. They had injuries to key players, but there's still no excuse. John Blackpool, but he's had a good impact. For me, he's never really done it at this level. Darren Moore, I get you. I think the more I think about it, I get what you... If you want to put Darren Moore in great, you can put Darren Moore in great. That's fine. I think Ian Evatt is one of those managers that you think, if you came to your club, you're quite happy. I think most clubs in this league, bar Bolton now, would take Ian Evatt as their manager. Oh, yeah. I think that he's judged over 5 months at Bolton when I think he should be judged over 4 years.
And to be fair, the football, I know it's very, he's very stubborn with the way that he plays football, but his manner of football is very, the style of play is very, very good to watch. Like, they dominate and they strangulated teams. And I saw them do it to Lincoln on a number of occasions. They were very, very good at it. The only thing that I thought let Ian Evatt down was the way he handled the press and the media. He'd come out and say some really daft things, wouldn't he? Like when they were in League Two, were the best team in this league and they were 18th or something. And yeah, like you say, that big game, the playoff final. I remember we were walking down the ramp with some Bolton fans. I was talking to you. I just thought the way that he tried to play in that playoff final was arrogant. Well, in League One, I think, like you say, a lot of teams would be happy if they appointed Ian Evatt.
Gary Caldwell, for me, consistently gets results on a shoestring budget. One of the, probably, I think it is the smallest in the division, you'd say. And Exeter's so far out the way, it's hard to attract players anyway. But he recruits well. My only issue with Gary Caldwell is they go on bad runs. Like 16 games this season, they've lost 9. They do lose a lot of games, Exeter. So if they went at that rate, they're going to lose 24 games of football. They've then only got 22 points, 66 points to get your points to stay up. And that is where Exeter struggle. If you can just draw a couple instead of losing. But I think that he consistently gets decent results and nicks a result and doesn't always play the greatest brand of football, just nicks it. 1-0 away at Wycombe, 1-0 away at Lincoln. Beat Plymouth really good that night. I think he's a decent League One manager. I think he's the most underrated manager in League One.
Yeah, I agree. What he does to keep Exeter in this league. I know Exeter fans probably turn around halfway through the season and say, well, where's the ambition? But you got to realise, you're Exeter City, you're playing, you're in and amongst teams like, Reading and Wigan and Huddersfield and Bolton and Bradford, who are probably 3 or 4 at least times in the budget that Gary Caldwell's got to have. And he is consistently very good at making sure they are well and truly above the dotted line. And for me, the price per point is a massive factor as to who is significantly overachieving. Though the football isn't attractive, it's sometimes dull as dishwater. Since coming into the league, they've not gone down. And for me, a club like Exeter to do that is really impressive. So I think we have to put him in decent, Ben. I completely agree with you.
Agree with you there. Next up, Grant McCann, Jake. He's one of those characters that you can see managing at a higher level, and he wants to manage at a higher level. Peterborough, Doncaster are where we go off. He did well last year, and one of those types of managers, when it goes well, it goes well. When it goes wrong, it goes wrong. He's struggling a little bit now this year. What's your thoughts on Grant McCann?
He's another manager that's got a promotion out of this league, Ben. So for me, that automatically he won the League One title in the COVID season. So that, for me, again, as a manager that's coming up shortly after him, is someone that we have to talk about in a positive light. Style of football is good. I think the way that he talks is good. I quite like the way that he makes that siege mentality us against the rest of the world. I like Grant McCann. I think he's a forward-thinking manager. He always seems to get the best out of centre forwards, doesn't he? It's his style of play. It just makes centre forwards tick. I think a lot of clubs would be quite happy, certainly that sort of mid-table bracket, if Grant McCann came and managed them, because of his style of play, which is for me is his biggest indicator. He got Doncaster promoted. It took him a couple of times, admittedly, but he won the league. He's won the League One title. He's won the League Two title. It's the top end. In fact, I'd probably put him as a better manager. I think he'd probably be top end of decent. I'd probably put him just slightly ahead of Evatt and Evatt, but that's on me because he's got a promotion out of this league.
I just still can't get over that Darren Moore's been great, but yeah, okay. Next up, Liam Richardson, also promoted at this level with Wigan Athletic. And for me, his biggest achievement was keeping Wigan up rather than taking them up. To keep that Wigan squad up was remarkable. And what he built there was really, really good. And it did go sour towards the end, but overall, Liam Richardson did a really good job there. You can't judge on Reading because he's been there for all of, a few weeks. For me, you've got to give a manager at least 6 months in a job to really see, the results, and realistically, you can't really start judging until maybe 12 to 18 months in to the reign and get their own players in. But for me, Liam Richardson, decent. I think that he's a very hard one to talk about, but I think he's a decent manager.
Yeah, I definitely think he's in and amongst the ones that we've just spoken about. Evatt, McCann, very good. I just thought I heard a noise there. It must have been me. A very good manager. Style of play isn't perhaps as attractive like we just spoke about with McCann and maybe Evatt as well. But it's effective, and he's gone in and he has made an impact at Reading. They beat Stevenage on that Thursday night. So yeah, I think he's a good manager to play. And like you said, to keep Wigan up during that season of administration when they could only play kids is a real fair credit to him.
Next up is Ryan Lowe. I think Ryan Lowe is one of those managers that you think in your own head he's going to come in and play this free-flowing, ferocious attacking football, and he's this fiery manager that's like Schumacher. I don't think he did well with Plymouth and very well with Bury. He did okay at Preston. He did the job at Preston. The Preston finished mid-table, but they wanted more. Arguing with supporters, I'm not a fan of. And he's been up and down at Wigan. Their away records poor. At home, they're okay. I don't think the play style's remarkable. But I don't think he's uninspiring. I just think he's a decent, solid enough League One manager. You'll probably finish mid-table with him. But there's just some of the things he says that, if you think we're in the playoffs, we're not. That's uninspiring, if we're honest with you. But I do like Ryan Lowe for what he did in his career. I just think that he's mellowed down a little bit.
Yeah, that Bury team, we were up against it in League Two, and they were scintillating going forward. Like, they were so good. Since going to Plymouth, I think he laid the foundations really for Stephen Schumacher. Like, you speak about all the time, Ben, of Danny Cowley laying the foundations for John Messina. I think Ryan Lowe did that very well for Stephen Schumacher to go in and succeed at Plymouth Argyle. He had them very competitive in this league. I like Ryan Lowe, but I agree, some of the things he does say worry me. I think he's probably, I get the style of play, forward thinking, but it hasn't been at Wigan this season, has it? Like, based on what they scored, they've scored goals, but recently they've been a little bit blunt. I would even suggest maybe putting Gary Caldwell above him, because Gary Caldwell consistently overachieves.
Yeah, agree with you there. He's Richie Wellens, and they've been hit and miss this year of late, but I think that sometimes comes down to squad turnover, losing key players in the summer. But I really like Richie Wellens, promoted from League Two. With Leighton Orient, did a really, really good job there. And I feel like he's built foundations. He never got a chance at Salford. He never felt like he was their manager. Loved at Oldham because he nearly kept them up. But I feel that Leighton Orient has been remarkable. 3 years in League One now. Finished, I think, top 10, playoff finalists last year. This year, struggling. But he's one of those managers that's been promoted and has done a good job on not a great budget. They are well back these days. I think Richie Wellens is a better manager than Darren Moore. If I'm honest with you, I'd rather have Richie Wellens managing my football club over Darren Moore. Would you be the same?
Yeah, I would. I
don't think he's quite elite yet. I think there's still a little few more boundaries. I want to see him, and there's no disrespect to Richie Wellens, him do it at Bolton.
Where he's the favourite. He does that a lot.
A massive football club.
Yeah, I agree. That's maybe what's to come from him, and if he did maybe get a promotion, then we'd be talking about him in the elite category. But everything you like in terms of Richie Wellens, the way he talks, his style of football, just the way he goes about his everyday business, he cuts about as a manager is very good for this league. And I've said it with Parks, the Leighton Orient fan. I'm so surprised that a Championship team haven't taken a gamble on him because he just plays some really good football and he develops players so well. I mean, look at those players that have come in at Leighton Orient that he's taken with him. Like, think of Charlie Kelman before he signed for Leighton Orient. Yeah, a really good manager. I judge this as in, would I want them to manage my club? And Richie Wellens is a very firm yes. Not quite that good, Richie, but that good.
Kevin Nolan. I think that he's one of those types of managers. I love managers that shut you up. When you say something about them, I thought at the time, wasn't an appointment that. This man here slaughtered him like you wouldn't believe.
Correct.
And I tell you what, and I quite like, I'll give Drake something. If he's wrong on something and they prove him wrong, Jake will be the first person that will say, I like that, fair play. It will take a little bit. It won't be just a couple of results. But I think we've seen over the last 11 months that Northampton are a solid League One outfit. They are good in games, especially at home, against sides that they'll be fighting with for relegation, to avoid it. And I just feel they often get a win. And the biggest attribute I think they've got isn't the brand of football, is the spirit. They've got a massive spirit of Northampton, like Gary Bowyer has built at Burton Albion, like Michael Duff is building now at Wickham. There is a spirit there, with the shoes and, about the shoe army. I think that there's limitations. I don't think Nolan will ever be an elite manager at this level, and that's no disrespect. He may go and prove me wrong. I think he's a decent manager at this level. I don't think he's a great manager yet because we've not really seen him with a great team yet. So we've not been able to see the full attributes of Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, I think he's a progressor for Northampton. I think, like we just spoke about there, I think he will lay down the foundations for managers to come in and then go and maybe take Northampton on to that next step with a little bit of investment. Yeah, I think he's been good this year, certainly. The results have been very strong. And the fact that we've already spoken about a number of managers before we've even spoken about Kevin Nolan, I think just shows you the work that he's doing. And I think when we put this decent category together, we spoke about managers that were underrated. I think Kevin Nolan goes into that category of massively underrated. I don't think he's sexy. I don't think he's glamorous, but he's effective.
Michael Duff, he's not sexy. It's not sexy football. It's not attractive football, but it's decent football. And I think he did a very good job at Cheltenham to bring them on into League One. And I think he was there the first year, wasn't he, in League One with Cheltenham, where he was involved in some great games. And we're a really stable League One football club. And then left for Barnsley and got to a playoff final against Sheffield Wednesday, where they lost out the last kick of the game, Josh Windass. I thought Barnsley were actually the better team on the day, even better with 10 men. He went to Swansea. His football and Swansea's idea of football are totally different. At Swansea, you've got to win and play a set brand of football. He didn't really do either. But in League One, he'll win games of football playing his style of football. And that's often enough at the sides that he's been at. And now at Wickham, he's really done well so far. So I think I'm very. I don't want to put him in great because I think if he's in great, Ian Evatt's got to be in great. But I would put him as a top end League One manager. I'd put him in the top end of decent.
I think had he got Barnsley promoted, then probably he would have slipped into that great category. But yeah, he's certainly gone in and made an impact at Wycombe, hasn't he? They're all of a sudden looking way more confident and way more purposeful. You think you look back at that season at Cheltenham, and we've spoken about Gary Caldwell massively overachieving at Exeter. Well, Michael Duff, where did they come? Like 11th, 12th with Cheltenham in that first season. They were good. They had Alfie May scoring goals. That Barnsley team were. I remember we were talking about maybe getting involved with the Plymouths, the Ipswiches, and the Sheffield Wednesdays, who they were a real outsider, but they got to a playoff final, did really, really well. Definitely, I think could well get that promotion at Wycombe if he's backed and it falls for him. But yeah, a very good manager at this level, Michael Duff.
I had to look who was next. Couldn't really see that.
It's Conor Hourihane,
who's just come into management and has been steady away. Is he uninspiring? No, because he's done a good job, but he's so hard to judge because we've only seen limited from him. He's shown more than Tom Cleverley. As it stands, Tom Cleverley is the only one in that category, and I'm feeling sorry for him. He's a little bit lonely down there, isn't he, to be fair to him?
I think Cleverley is going to have some company in a second. I've not massively been enamoured by...
No. I think if you... I think good performances from him, that's it.
Yeah, the attacking football is there, right? And I completely agree with that. They definitely got them playing more attacking football. He's more progressive. But I think about Barnsley. The Barnsley squad isn't a million miles off. Well, it wasn't last season. The squad that got Michael Duff to a playoff final, or Collins took to a playoff semi-final and lost against Bolton the year before. So I don't think he's doing great. They've still kept the good players. They've still got Phillips. They've still got Luke O'Connell. They've still got Davis Keeler-Dunn, who was so good in the league last year. I think at the moment, Conor Hourihane's reign at Barnes has been quite uninspiring. But I understand Barnsley fans will say, well, he's a young head coach. What do you expect? But I look at that team and think that they could be doing better. They're 13th in the league right now.
Next up, Gary Bowyer. Bow down to the king. That's all I've got to say. The greatest footballing manager with a great footballing philosophy I've ever seen. Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho have nothing on this man. I really like Gary Bowyer. He's just steady away. You could win 10 in a row and you'll go, well, that's absolutely fantastic. But we've got a game next week that we must go and try and win. And then, Gary Bowyer, you've won 45 out of 45. You must be delighted. You are like the longest serving unbeaten run in League One history. You've won the league by about 40 points. What do you think? Well, we've got to go and try and win next week, haven't we? Then we can start to celebrate. But I feel away from that, he'll be egging the lads on. And he kept Burton up, right? When they were down and out. They won, I think they'd won one in the first, 20-odd games last year? Something like that. And they were done. They were dusted. At Bradford, he came in at a difficult time and just steadied away. At Salford, he got nearly into the playoffs. He was so close, with difficult circumstances going on at that football club. He got Blackpool promoted from League Two to League One in unbelievable circumstances with the squad that was nowhere probably near it, and the fan base were nowhere near it. Blackburn, he did a solid enough job. Everywhere that he goes, he's gone in with club troubles. He's never really been given a task of go and build it. There's a key, go and build it. I don't think he's an elite manager, don't get me wrong, but I would go as far as say I think Gary Bowyer's a great League One manager. And I think that you're going to get what you're going to get from him. And he's 12th with his Birchwood. He's beaten Cardiff, he's beaten Wimbledon, he's beaten Blackpool, he's beaten Bolton. This is a good manager. And they've probably been a mid-table side since he came into the football club.
Yeah, I think he's had a good spell. Obviously, his previous spells, I can't comment too much on. I didn't read a huge amount into those three, but he won promotion in Scotland. So I think he's a Is Gary Bowyer a better manager than Michael Duff?
Well, Michael Duff's always had bigger clubs. Michael Duff's always had.
Well, Gary Bowyer's been at the biggest club of all, Ben, which is Blackpool.
Well, you know what I like about Gary Bowyer? I like the side that you feel they can go and win 1-0, right? And they've beaten some great sides this season 1-0. Like in his tenure, you think Wimbledon 1-0 away from home.
I know where this is going. I know where this is going.
Club, right? Big football club away, at home to Blackpool, 1-0 victory, 2-0 against Bolton. And then they've beaten sides like Lincoln away 1-0 that are not so big.
He's also lost 1-0 to Lincoln twice.
That doesn't matter. We're not judging on
that doesn't fit the narrative.
That's disqualified. I think they won the important one. For me, yeah, great.
I'm happy to concede it and put it in them.
Well, I put Darren Moore 2 up where I think he should be, but there you are. Matt Hamshaw, I think that we'll disagree here. I'm going to put him in decent because no one really expects anything from Rotherham this year. Rotherham have been solid at home. They're beaten side they should be beaten. They've been without key players to key areas. Their injury list has been tough. I don't think they've got a glamorous squad. They're 6 points off second in the league, Jake. 6 points off. And they've been very solid at home. They get points from nowhere. They win 2-0 a lot. I don't think they're quite at that level to be, a great manager, but I think he's a sound enough bloke, sound enough coach, and I think he's done a decent job so far.
Yeah, we're not going to. I don't think we're going to disagree here, Ben. I think when you look at where people put Rotherham at the start of the year and to where they are now is night and day, really, isn't it? Similar with Gary Bowyer, I suppose, in some way, but Matt Hamshaw's not quite got the history of doing it like Gary Bowyer has. Yeah, I think they are. I think they're effective. I think he fits Rotherham. I think he understands what it takes to be Rotherham, and I think that's massive. Maybe similar to Hourihane, I suppose, in that way with Barnsley. But yeah, he's getting results now, and they did have a really poor start to this season, but they have recently been a lot better. Maybe it's a little bit of recency bias creeping in, right? But they're at the right spot.
Next up, Lee Grant started well at Huddersfield, fizzled out a bit. Good win last weekend. Great squad there, full of egos. I don't think he's getting the best out of it.
Well, I think we're about to put our third manager into the bottom category here, Ben. Yeah, I mean, that squad he's blessed with riches of strikers, of really talented midfielders and defenders as well. And he's not getting the best out of them. This Huddersfield team spent the money they should be in the top 2 race at this point of the season. We're a third of the way through, and they're almost nowhere near it. Even though they're only a handful of points away from it, it doesn't feel like it, does it? Because this Huddersfield team have got no momentum whatsoever. And I think if you appointed, it's ironic they got rid of a manager who's got a bit of know-how of getting teams towards the top end of the league, and they sacked him prematurely, which we both agree with Michael Duff, to bring in this exciting Lee Grant. And it just hasn't worked. If Huddersfield went out and got, a Richie Wellens, they would be in the top 2 conversation. If they went and got someone, like Grant McCann, let's say, I think they would be involved in a top 6 conversation. So, yeah, I think there's I'm not a huge fan of Lee Grant. I don't think he's doing a good enough job. I think he's on borrowed time.
Another, manager that's done a remarkable job at Burton Albion, and then gone to Mansfield, and longevity has been a top end League 2 side. Albeit they probably feel they should be up there. They've had some heartbreak, haven't they? Especially in the playoffs. I think that Port Vale one was the big one. And then got promoted last year. Started well, faded away, but kept them up. This year looks sound again to go again and stay up. I think he's a decent League 1 manager. I think he's always proven his worth, longevity. He's very similar to Gary Bowyer. I just think that, I don't know, I think with Bowyer there's something different about him that I really like. I don't think Clough's far off. I like him, and I feel Bowyer's finally replaced Clough at Burton Albion for the first time. They've recruited well. I think he's a decent manager, Nigel Clough.
Yeah, Clough is just reliable, isn't he? Like, he
like you.
Very bread and butter pudding. Do you know what I mean? Just very, very standard, very good, very effective. And to be fair, to his credit, Ben, he has actually got Mansfield playing some very good football this year. They have been a lot better, and they were at this point last year, just before they fell off a cliff. Unfortunately, they were very good at football, weren't they? I mean, I remember they went to Barnsley on opening night and hammered them. So, yeah, a really good manager, steady, reliable, done a great job managing the league above. For me, that always gets him points, but he's a Mansfield manager, so he has to be knocked down to decent, unfortunately.
Jack Wilshere next. So far from what I've seen, I think he's going to be a very good coach. I like the way he talks. I like the way what he's about. And you can see a small implement. But he's been in football for about 6 weeks. So where do we judge this, Jay? Because they lost the first one to Clough's Mansfield. Probably a tough side to play against. The side that you don't know what they're about against a side that you know exactly what they're about. They've been together for a long, long time. But since they've had some, good couple of victories, where do you reckon for them?
It's really harsh on Jack Wilshere, but I wasn't a huge fan of the appointment anyway, because Luton needed experience, in my opinion. They needed someone to really build the foundation of the football club and get them back and take them out of a losing mentality. And I don't think a first-time head coach was ever going to do that. He's had a good couple of weeks. Admittedly, I think they won away at Northampton, didn't they, the other week? I think if we're judging this on what the current tier list is in front of me, I think we have to be uninspiring because I think Hourihane is in a similar boat, really, where and Wilshere's done it for even less time, right? So I don't know. I feel like it's unfair on Wilshere. I think, again, like I said with Cleverly, ceiling's really high. If he can get it, I think if he can get the right experience amongst it, we'll wait and see how they do with transfer windows. That could come to bite me in the backside. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards the bottom tier, Ben, here.
Yeah.
Purely because and it's not Jack's fault.
At the end of the season, I think he can probably be higher, couldn't he?
Yeah, like we'll probably do this at the end of the season again or in the summer, and probably it will be, there'll probably be a fair way higher in the rankings, but 4 weeks is not enough time to judge someone.
No. 2 years you've been on, 3 years you've been on this show, and I still think that I can't judge what you're going to be like. Johnny Jackson done a very good job at Wimbledon. 3 years in League Two there. Was manager of Charlton once upon a time. That feels so long ago, doesn't it? But just done a solid job at Wimbledon. Hard to beat. Last couple of weeks haven't been hard to beat. Burton went there and won 1-0, and they got beat 5 away at Peterborough 5-0. So I think that he's a very decent League One manager. I don't think he's great yet, but he's building foundations to be a great League One manager with AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah, significantly overachieving this year, and to get them up as well was a really good achievement. He's got a promotion on his CV, which a lot of managers in this league don't have. Yeah, like you say, he knows what they are. They're effective, and to have Wimbledon again, to speak about this many managers before we speak about Johnny Jackson, just is a testament to the job that he's currently doing. League One, they've been so good at Plough Lane. It's a very tough place to go. So, yeah, I think decent but I would probably say mid-range of decent. Alongside, I think he actually perfectly fits in next to Gary Caldwell. I think in a couple of years, if we're talking about Wimbledon sustaining themselves as a League One club, then we're talking about Johnny Jackson and Gary Caldwell being very similar sorts of managers.
Yeah, agree. Next up, it's Alex Revell's Stevenage. Second year of management, coming back into the football club as first team head coach. Learned a lot under Steve Evans. Last year, solid away, mid-table, good finish for them. This year started very brightly. Definitely overachieving, but you look at the sides they beat, and there's a couple of good wins in there, but sides you maybe expect Stevenage to beat and have. I think he's a really good manager. I don't think he's a great manager yet, but I think there's decent and there's still progression there below, but I think that Revell is probably mid-range of decent.
I mean, to have Stevenage in the top half, this season, I think last year they came 13th, which for Stevenage to be where they are, considering where they've come from, is a massive achievement for them. He has got them competing in the top end of the league. Whether that's going to be sustainable, I'm not hugely sold on it. But I think in terms of solidifying the legacy of Steve Evans, he's done a really good job. He's made them hard to beat. He's brought in some really good players. Similar to all the ex-pros on this list, he's very good at, the arm around the shoulder, very, very good at the man management side of it and being one of the lads. So, yeah, I think decent manager, probably alongside a Nolan, alongside a Caldwell. I think that's fair for Alex Revell. I know Farley's a massive fan of Revs, but I think he's, I think difficult because is he going to get a chance of a bigger League One club? I don't know. But he's definitely doing a very good job in charge of Stevenage, that's for sure.
He's a massive fan of you, I've heard as well, Farley.
I doubt it.
He loves you, really. He loves you. He loves everyone, does Farley. He's got a lot of love to give. Barry Murphy, he's come into Cardiff and done a really good job. He's got him playing some good football, passing football. I do think he gets eaten up away at sides that are ferocious, that are free-flowing, that can get at you. Bolton, Stockport, Blackpool have all done well against them. Burton counteracted them. I think that this is the test now, this next 2-3 months. I think that he's done a remarkable job so far from what I've seen. Good coaching pedigree. I think he's a great coach. I think he's an elite coach. But there's a difference between being an elite coach and being an elite manager. There's a big difference. I think that we're 16 games in, Cardiff are probably where they should be. They've maybe overachieved a little bit, thinking with the recruitment and getting relegated last summer. And he's made an instant impact. They've been scoring goals. They've been keeping a few clean sheets, especially early on. I think top end of decent, Jake.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because he's not really. I suppose he's quite comparable a little bit to Conor Hourihane and the others, where he's not, and maybe Tom Cleverley, but he's just doing really well. He's got Cardiff up the top end of the League One table. They play some good stuff at times. It's going to take a little bit of time to get his style of football. We mustn't forget as well. He has got a relegation on his CV, I believe, from this league with Rochdale. So maybe that stops him from progressing. But yeah, I mean, you look at the players that they've got; they probably should be where they are on the league table, shouldn't they? Is a very good place for him to be.
I'll let you start off with Schumacher, Jake.
I think this is our first elite manager.
Yeah.
Because not only does he have a promotion, and bear in mind this is a team that were promoted with over 100 points that knocked out Ipswich, who went and did back-to-back promotions to the Premier League. I think in terms of what he built at Plymouth Argyle, he then went and got the job at Stoke, which is a massive job. So to get that job, he's done really well. Steadied Argyle in the Championship for however long until he jumped ship. He's then come back down to Bolton and done really well. He's picked up the reins for me and Evatt, who left them in a complete disaster. And look at them now. I think they came in, they were 8th. Realistically, they were never going to have much of a chance of the playoffs last season. They used that as a pre-season. He figured out where we needed to recruit players. He's brought in some great players over the summer, Kozia Dubry, Hourihane. It does, as an outsider, finally feel like it might be their time to get promoted. And the reason why I think Schumacher then goes into elite, maybe over someone like a Richie Wellens, is because the expectation at Bolton is massive. Said this to Colin, the fan zone, a lot of times. Every move at Bolton, every sub, every tactical tweak is looked at minute detail, and everyone criticises, but no one's criticising him at the moment, and he's doing really, really well. So for me, I think Shuey goes into the elite category.
He finds a way to get results. Plays a good brand of football. They've been very good at home. They're unbeaten at home. Big pressure, big football club, 20-odd thousand. There's 26,000 at their upcoming game against Bradford. Did a great job at Plymouth. With pressure on them away at Huddersfield, found a way. Pressure against Cardiff, found a way. Those 2 late goals. They've ripped up that squad, Bolton, this summer, where it's a completely new team. It's a completely young team. A totally different direction. And he's doing a really good job. Ended last season poorly. There's huge pressure. You lose one game at Bolton and you know about it. And it's seen as a slump. Bolton Wanderers should be beaten probably. They think they should be winning 35 times a season, minimum. There's only probably 10 or 11 times where you think Bolton go away and think they'll take a point today. Or that wasn't. There's only 3 or 4 losses that you think, yeah, that's fine. We'll dust ourselves down and go again. But if Bolton Wanderers lose 1-0 to a mid-table League One team or even, a top-end League One team, say a Lincoln, for example, away from home, 1-0, difficult place to go, it's seen as poor.
Or 4-2.
When they went away at Stockport and lost 2-0, it's seen as poor. Stockport out at the top of the league. That's a standard. Graham Alexander? I think Graham Alexander, for me, is an elite manager. He has done a good job at pretty much everywhere that he's gone. He did a really good job at Fleetwood, got Fleetwood Town promoted, in a big role for him, where he started off his managerial career. He went to Scunthorpe and did really well with them, got him into playoffs a couple of occasions and did a good job, built a good squad. They had a really good team over those years, didn't they, when you think about it? They had Madden, Townsend, they had Van Veen, they had a really good squad. Dwayne Holmes. You what?
Tom Hopper.
Oh, Tom Hopper, yeah. Shearer, he did that at Sunderland away for a team, didn't he, in the playoff semi-final? Great guy. And then Salford got sacked after 4 games, and I think they'd won 2 and drawn 2. Did a great job at transforming that football club around. His style of football, his suits Bradford, it's good. He does get eaten up and around November to December, then he turns it around again every year. It feels that they're on a bit of a slump right now. Graham Alexander is an elite manager at League One level.
I'm going to go great, I think, with Graham Alexander. My
promotions
opinion,
from League Two, mate, with two different football clubs.
Yeah, that's League Two, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
that's
still
League
promoted.
Two. That's
He's better manager than Darren Moore.
But I think Richie Wellens is a better manager than Darren Moore, so I think he could probably fit in the top end of great. Whether he's elite, I'm not fully convinced. Obviously, we've only seen.
Yeah, Richie Wellens has won 2 promotions from League Two, hasn't he? So.
Yeah, he got later on into a playoff final as an underdog, though. Graham Alexander did get Fleetwood to the playoff.
Under pressure, though, at Bradford City. To be fair, you're not going to. Bradford City is massive pressure, mate, in League Two. At Fleetwood, you have one of the biggest budgets in League Two.
Do you want to?
Fleetwood and Scunthorpe, right? I'm not arguing. I'll agree to put them in great, but at Fleetwood and Scunthorpe, you have big budgets. They are small football clubs for the level that they're at, but they have mass. At Fleetwood, he should have gotten to the top 3. He didn't, to be fair to him. So I'll agree to compromise and put him in great.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He is a very good manager for this level and has got the history to back it up. I'm intrigued to see how it ends with Bradford.
Go on. I'm gonna have a drink. Go on.
Well, I want to know where you put him. Because
look, 2 years in charge of Lincoln now. He walked in. First game was away at Stevenage, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, lost 1-0.
He lost 1-0, yeah. And I'll always remember, and I don't know if you remember this, you either rang me that night or the day later, and you were on the fun bus, I think, as you call it.
Yeah.
And the song was Scooby Scooby Doo. You've got some work to do now. I don't even remember that phone call.
I do.
That was near enough 2 years to the day. That nearly now.
It would have been
or just over 2 years, isn't it? I think that Lincoln
2 years this week he was in charge.
Yeah, I remember Lincoln putting a tweet out celebrating, which someone's linking up as a club that they're celebrating that the gaffer's been there 2 years. It must be pretty dull around your ends, Jake. Any dig you can get coming from the Fleetwood fan, I know I'm going to get that. I've got enormous respect for Michael Skubala, who's done at the football club. I think overall the football club has transformed. So I think the expectation has increased. So that deserves credit. I think the playing style has got better. I think that they do suit being the underdog still. I do still think there's a blip in them. And I still don't think that they're at that next stage. There's still maybe that element off, but they're not far off. I just think that you're waiting for it with Lincoln for something bad to happen. I don't feel that you feel that, they play an extra Doncaster home yesterday. It was 2-1, but you feel like you could slip up there. But he's often got results. I think his win percentage must be definitely over high 40%, probably 40%. He's done decent in cup competitions. And I think that every time he's come under some critics, he's gone on some bad runs. I think the home form has been excellent, especially. I don't think he's any better than Nigel Clough, though. I think Nigel Clough has done, over his career, has done a really good job. I would put him in great, but I think if he goes in great, and then all of a sudden I think Duff needs to go in great. I think Michael Skubala is the top end of decent. That's how I feel. There's so many managers in that decent that should be in great but aren't. And
It'd be unfair, I think, to put Michael in there.
It would be unfair. That's all I would say. I don't think he's far off great. I'm not just saying this to wind you up, but I think that, yeah. However, his tracksuit is poor because it's got a Lincoln badge on it, and that one inspires me every week. So down goes. He has Sue's brownies that I should be having, so I don't like him.
Stand out over the rest of them is
Manager Lincoln.
Partly that, and I have got red and white tinted spectacles on, admittedly, but he is outperforming budget every year incredibly well. I think this year the club have said at events we have the 18th biggest budget and we're second in the league as of recording. Admittedly, teams have got games in hand, whatever, but we are second in the league, right? I know you look at me.
Go on, say the line. You're gonna play your games. You got to
get your points on the board, aren't you? You got to get your points on the board, and we're second. We're joint top of the league. We're only behind Stockport on goals scored. I think he's a very good manager for this league. I think a lot of clubs in this league would take Michael Skubala as their head coach, but I can understand why you put him in decent. Great bloke. I think he's got a really high ceiling, and his football is effective, and he's made us better. I look at their metrics. He is statistically probably our best ever manager. I think he deserves a lot of credit. I would maybe think about putting him in great personally, but I understand that it's a Ben Knapman video, and I know if you put him in great, you'll be accused of being a Lincoln fan. So I know why you're not doing it. But I think he's a better manager than two of the ones that we've got in great. That's my opinion. But I'm happy for you to.
I think he's a better manager. I'm not going to go on about it, but I think he's a better manager than Darren. I think Darren Moore shouldn't be where he is, but we are. You got to stick with it now. I can see him in. Let's be serious. I can see him managing in the Championship with Lincoln, but then I woke up from my dream. So I
just turned the PlayStation on.
You saved the best till last. Dave Challinor is the best manager in this league, and in every single season that he's had in football, he's never finished outside the playoffs in a full season. Did a remarkable job at AFC Filed, and scored lots of goals with good brand of football. An amazing manager at Filed, and did a remarkable job. I think he won his trophy. I think he won the FA Trophy against Leyton Orient. And it was Justin Edinburgh's last game, rest in peace, to a great man, a great footballing man. And I was there that day, actually, and it was a great win for Filed. And then got sacked, unfortunately, and then found himself at Hartlepool, where he did a really good job and built a foundation there. Did he get promoted with Hartlepool, I think? Which, again... Yeah. And then Stockport come call him, and then gets promoted remarkably. And then playoff semi-finals. Then they beat Salford in the playoff semi-finals and lose in the final to Carlisle on penalty kicks. Season later, go up. Did they win the league? Stockport in League Two, I think. I think they won the league, didn't they? Did they?
Stockport won League Two, yeah.
Yeah, they won the league. And then last year, played some unbelievable football. Started well, hit a bit of a bump in the road about November time. When Louis Barry went back, they got better. And then this season felt like they've not been great at the top of the league, and they've had some bumps in the road, but they've been great. He's a great manager. He's a great footballing man. Calm, present. Will keep things on the ground. He's not too in your face. And I'd run through a brick wall for Dave Challinor. I think he's an excellent manager, and he's one of the best in the EFL. And he's at a biggest football club at Stockport. I'd say that they're a sleeping giant. I think that they're not quite that Bolton Wanderers, but they are a big football club at this level. For me, elite. The best manager in this league.
He's good. He is a good manager. I think I'd put Schumacher as my first choice, and then Challinor.
I think Challinor's done it for longer, that's all.
As number, I think the argument I'd throw at you back then is that Shuey's done it at this level, and Challinor hasn't got a team out of this league like Schumacher has, which is probably the difference to me. And I think
he's had 1.5 years in this league.
It's his own
He's in the
fault.
playoffs.
It's his own fault. The expectation at Stockport last year wasn't to get promoted. Admittedly, it was Bolton. It is to get promoted. But I think Charlie's a great manager, good style of football, very good at Edgley Park, so hard to beat. Has the odd hissy fit mannerism, but I think overall a very good manager and someone that probably is warranting of a championship move at some point. If he's not managing Stockport in the next 3 years in the champ, he'll be managing a championship team, probably based in the Northwest, given how his career's gone. But a very good gaffer, and someone that I can see taking Stockport up probably this year as well.
Well, Jake, thank you for joining me today. I enjoyed that.
Thanks, mate. Much appreciated.
So overall, you want to take you go from the bottom, and I'll go decent. You go great. So I'll do the bottom, and then you do the next one, and I'll do great, and you do elite. So in uninspiring, Conor Hourihane, Jack Wilshere, Lee Grant, and Tom Cleverley, all new managers, all coming into their clubs this year. Sometimes hard to judge, some doing better than others.
Decent category. We've got Grant McCann, Nigel Clough, Michael Skubala, Michael Duff, Liam Richardson, Brian Barry Murphy, Ian Evatt, Alex Revell, Kevin Nolan, Gary Caldwell, Johnny Jackson, Matt Hamshaw, Ryan Lowe, and Luke Williams.
And then in grey, Richie Wellens done a phenomenal job at Leighton Orient. Graham Alexander, Darren Moore, and Gary Bowyer. There you are.
And then the elite two stand out far above the rest in Stephen Schumacher and David Challinor.
Who should be where? Let me know where you disagree. Get your comments in. Who do you agree with? Well, thanks to Jake from Here for the Lincoln podcast and Lincoln fan. If he hasn't mentioned it, for joining me today, go and check him out. The links will be down below. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you later. Thanks as always. See you later.